Live from the I-10 corridor from the Fastport Studios in the city of New Orleans, it's Nemo Nation.
And good morning again, everybody. It is the Nemo Nation. Dave Nemo here with you. Chris Orban is with us here in the studio. He is the co-founder of Journey TMS. And, of course, Andre Thibodeau, Phone Master Dre, on the job here as well. And we're about to welcome an old friend. Well, he's not that old, but he is a friend. Mike Lutzenkirchen is with us, and, of course, he heads up the Lutzie 43 Foundation. And I'll ask Mike to kind of give us a little background on that. But a lot of you guys know him already because, well, Mike, you're kind of almost an official regular here on the show. So good morning.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. It's great to be welcome to the show and to share with your audience.
So I've been asking everybody, how was your weekend? Of course, Halloween landing on a Friday night, which is that's the best night of the week, I think, for it. Because you still have all Saturday before you got to go to church on Sunday morning, Get up early again. But did you have a lot of trick-or-treaters come by your neighborhood this year?
Yeah, we had a good showing on Friday night, and that was wonderful. And we had a complete surprise. We went out with some friends on Saturday afternoon, two other couples, and they kept the surprise intact. And we got home at about 6 o'clock from this event. My three daughters were here with their husbands and some other friends, and had a surprise 40th dinner for my wife and I, our 40th anniversary.
Whoa, congratulations. That is awesome. Do you guys, for Halloween, do you kind of do a theme? Do you do the lights outside? A lot of folks in our neighborhood now are doing Halloween lights.
Yeah, Dave, other than a few changing out some lamp posts, clear white bulbs, if you will, with some orange bulbs, and hanging some orange, I guess would be Christmas lights that are orange. We don't spruce up the house too much, but it's great to see the young kids come walking up and wonder who's going to say trick or treat or who's going to kind of just stare at you and not say trick or treat. So the traditions seem to be changing a little bit.
For sure. Well, I guess we want to talk about what you guys at the Lutzie 43 Foundation are up to, and it's Lutzie, Lutzie 43, Lutzie43.org to get all the information there and everything. But I got the license plate, Your Key to Drive Teen Driving Summit. Got a couple of them coming up, one this coming Friday, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to try to describe this on the radio, Mike. Think of those vanity license plates. And I didn't get this at first. I thought this was some sort of a serial number. It's the letters URKEYS, the numeral 2, and then DRV. So if you can mentally put that together, Your Keys to Drive, Teen Summit. That's brilliant. It really is. So tell us a little bit about what happens at the summit, who comes, what are some of the takeaways? What do the kids tell you guys after one of these events?
Yeah, so first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't credit who came up with that slogan. It was the Foundation's Friends Over Children's of Alabama, the statewide healthcare provider there in the state of Alabama, with these events primarily being funded by State Farm. But just to make sure your audience has the quick background on it, we lost our son, Philip Lutzenkirchen, who wore number 43, playing at Auburn University from 2009 to 12, was blessed to play a key role as a sophomore winning national championship in 2010, went on to become a two-time captain, had a short run in the NFL, but unfortunately at age 23, in the summer of 2014, Philip, as a backseat passenger, lost his life in a crash that involved drunk kids, speeding, not wearing seatbelts, driving well after midnight, all some of the poor behaviors that were made in decisions. So I was blessed in that October of 14 to be called by two of the women over at Children's Healthcare, Children's of Alabama, that said, Mike, we have created an event we call Your Keys to Drive. It's a 5-hour event that typically runs from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's delivered on a college campus or at a hotel or at high schools. The audience are teenagers, so that 9th grade through 12th grader or freshman through senior, however you you say it. And I've been blessed to be the opening keynote speaker at that 5-hour event. So I always get about 45 minutes to tell Philip's story, how he lost his life, how he served others and gave to others, but the poor decisions that weekend took his life. And it's just a wonderful event. And what do the kids take away, Dave? It's pretty incredible. These are high school kids. I like to share with them. Today's message is a serious message, but it's also a message that you're now getting the freedom, and it's not a right. It's a privilege to have a vehicle, get in a vehicle, drive that vehicle. For some of you, for the first time without your parents or an adult with you. And then you're going to get past the graduated driver's law time frame, and you're going to have teenage friends in there. And I want you to have fun. I want you to laugh. I want you to smile. I want you to listen to music and sing, but I want you to be responsible for this blessing that you've been given, which is the privilege to go drive a vehicle. And one of the first things I say to the kids is, if you look at your driver's license, no matter what state you're in, you're going to look down on it. Your license is signed. You signed that driver's license. You may not recall doing it, because this is not a right to give to drive a vehicle, or you could just go drive it. But we have to have a driver's license, and what you're doing is you're signing that you're going to agree with your state that you're going to abide by the rules. You're not going to be a super speeder, that you're going to wear a seatbelt, that you're going to do something else. You're not going to be a drunk driver, distracted driver, but other things. You're going to do your best not to drive after midnight when not anything good happens after midnight, unless you're in an emergency situation, that you're going to enforce all of your friends wearing their seatbelts, that you're going to set your mirrors. You're going to have a clear head, clear hands, and clear eyes before you even start that vehicle, so that you're positioned to drive. And, the feedback we get, Dave, I'm asked all the time, Mike, how do you know there's a return on investment if a government entity like a state DOT or law enforcement or a healthcare company or a private organization says, we want to invest in these summits, Mike, and help sponsor? How do we know there's a return on investment? And my short, simple answer is, how do you measure something that doesn't happen? If we can take a teenage driver who's already developed some poor habits, being a super speeder, this distracted driving situation that's going on, and we change that behavior and they aren't getting in a crash or an accident, we may never know that. So, but when you see the kids, they interact with professionals in law enforcement from a state level to a county level to a city level, with trauma personnel that can tell them, here's what happens when you end up in our emergency room. And all we're going to attempt to do to get you out of this emergency room through a surgery so that you can get to rehab. And those professionals can try to do the best they can to get you pre-crash mental and physical status. And for your audience, Dave, what I love, we always bring in 2 large 80,000-pound tractor trailers. We do it with relationships we have down here in the South with locally based trucking companies, or we connect with our friends up in Washington, D.C., led by Chris Spears, the American Trucking Association, who will bless us with one of their tractor trailers and 2 of their road team captains. Mm-hmm. These kids don't know what the term governor or regulator or limiter means. They don't know what the blind spots are. Many of them have not even touched a tractor trailer, let alone get up in the cab. So we want to make these kids smarter and more respectful driving around these 80,000-pound tractor trailers. So there's a direct impact for much of your listening audience.
Chris actually has a point he wants to make. Hey, Mike, it's Jimmy Mack here. It's so great to have you back as always. We got Chris Orban in studio with us, and he's got a point he wants to make really quickly.
Mike, first of all, I wanted to thank you for what you're doing. You know that people are alive today because of the work you've done without any kind of data support or anything like that you might need. You know that people are alive because of that work. It's amazing. Thank you for doing that. But 20 years ago, I came into this industry working for Dean Croak, again, another friend of the show here. And one of the things we were doing was creating predictive models to identify those drivers most likely to have a preventable accident. And we actually were challenged by some of our investors, by some of our customers, to try to prove that those accidents, that we were preventing accidents. And we came up with some interesting algorithms and ways to analyze the data. So I would just like to say, I would volunteer to help you out with any of that analysis that would be useful to you. I don't know if that's even appropriate to say, but I would love to help you with that. If that's something you're interested in, I'll volunteer my time to help. It's so important. I would love to help you with that.
Yeah, Christo, thank you for the kind words, first of all, but absolutely, if the guys connect you with me after this call, I would love to sit down and talk to you about how we do that. I know in my heart, that this is working. We've had kids that have come back to us and says, Mr. Lutz, the 43 key second, the key that you've told us to put in the car on a lanyard around the rearview mirror, which is at in-vehicle, constant image that triggers a better decision to not pick up the phone, to not answer a text, to not try to text while you're driving, to slow down, to give respect and where you can, do the best to pass an 80,000-pound tractor trailer on the left versus the right, to not hang out in the no zones, no-see zones and all that. We know it's working. And kids, what we try to tell the kids, one of the most impactful questions when you ask, whether it's 250 kids in the audience or 2,500 in all-school assembly, raise your hand if in the last week you've been a distracted driver. And they try to put their hands up by their ear, and I said, no, not short arms it. Don't alligator arm this thing. Put them high so I can see it. And then the follow-up question is, raise your hand if your mom and dad typically are a distracted driver. And, man, the hands fly up. You can see them loud and clear. This is resonating. And, again, Philip's life, I've never held back at saying, here are the mistakes that were made that weekend. Now, Philip was in the back seat, but, again, he was drunk. The driver was drunk. They weren't wearing seatbelts. They were ejected. They were killed. This is God's plan to share my son's story with others so that they don't go through the same situation. So, Chris, we'd love to get the data assistance from you.
We gave him your contact information, both phone and email. I wanted to say something else, too, really quickly, and then we have a little bit of time, and then Dave wants to make a point as well. I've always said that the best way to think about anything is to actually define a word that we don't really think about that much anymore. Designated driver. And I always tell people to think about what that word designated means. It means that a group of people have decided that you are the most trustworthy with their lives. It means that you are being designated to be the steward of the lives of other people. And what a lot of designated drivers don't do, even the ones that stay sober, is, hey guys, before we go anywhere, I know we're having a good time. I'm in charge tonight in this wheel. Buckle up, everybody, please. I'm not going to move this car until everybody's buckled up. Hey, listen, guys, I know we're having a good time. Do me a favor. When you roll down the window, sure, you can call out to pretty people on the street. Don't lean out of the window. Please don't do that. Anything foolish you might want to do, stay in your seat. Don't lean into a passenger seat that you're not supposed to be in. Everybody needs to understand that when you've been designated, you have been picked as the steward of other people's lives and of other people's children. And I think that in many ways is a great reminder of where this has to head. Somebody has made a choice to be the defender of lives and the preventer of tragedy. As Chris was saying, to be a person who makes sure that something isn't a statistic, and that might be something to remember,
No, Jimmy Mack, you basically just listen to the way you said that. It's kind of like a badge of honor, isn't it? And unfortunately, I think in society, it means you're not going to party, you're not going to partake, you're not going to do the same thing, right? The college kids that are say, I'm going to have only one or two drinks, so I'll be the designated driver, and then they get a hard time from their friends, and all of a sudden they put themselves in a position not to be that designated driver. So your point is so well taken that I'm going to be in Auburn for an event on Thursday. I'm just so proud of that in the School of Communication and Journalism, where Philip was a major, they've created the Philip Lutzenkirchen Excellence in Public Speaking Awards.
Congratulations.
Philip.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Well,
we're proud of that. For your audience, we're proud that we've given out over $560,000 worth of scholarship money since we started this. But what really drives me, guys, is when you get up in the morning and you get these reports of again, another lost life and so forth. So what we're really on right now, which I'm proud of, is when you look at roadway safety, to try to simplify it. And again, I'm not a civil engineer. I don't work for Cambridge Telematics or any other organization in this roadway safety group. I'm here because of God's plan. I don't know why Philip was left this earth at age 23, but boy, he created a platform. And when we identified back in 2018, why don't we have a singular image in this country? No matter where you're from, if you saw that image, it triggered you to say, yep, I have to make better decisions when I'm driving. So that's what we did with Philip's number. We created the 43 key. The backup to it is the checklist that's called 43 key seconds. And no matter who you are and what you're driving, what your experience is, where you're driving, or the time of day, you ask yourself to have a clear head, clear hands, clear eyes. And there's details behind that. And ultimately, we go to the fourth step, which is the 20-year campaign of click it or ticket by saying click it. And our belief is we get more and more people doing that, we're going to reduce the number of crashes. And roadway simplicity to us there's three pillars to it. There's infrastructure of the road, there's vehicles using that road, and there's the people driving those vehicles. And We're so blessed down here in the Deep South to have relationships with the Georgia Department of Transportation, Alabama DOT. We've got Doug Smith, who joined our team up in Chattanooga, so we got some big things going on in Tennessee. Those are the infrastructure experts in those respective states. Where do you put in a roundabout? Where do you put in a rumble strip? Or where do you reduce speed because we've lost too many lives? We partner with them. We partner with the trucking companies, the vehicles. We're working on some things to work with technology companies that are improving these vehicles and the safety feature. But our sweet spot is we're the people, we're the behavior. And think about all the money that is spent on roadway infrastructure changes, on vehicle technology. What if we reverse these pillars and you read them left to right instead of infrastructure, infrastructure, vehicles, and people, and you read it people, roadways, infrastructure, and vehicles, and we changed people's behavior to respect the roads more, to respect other drivers, boy, you'll see a reduction in what we have to spend on improving roadway safety. We've invested in roadway surfaces and improving bridges that need to be repaired, but our sweet spot through Phillips Life in 43 Key Seconds is really trying to impact the behavior of our driving community.
By the way, and Dave, I'm going to toss it to Dave, the impact of this, and we'll talk about this at the end of the show, Dave, on what this could mean for the trucking industry, the unintended positive consequence for the trucking industry is immense. But you had something you wanted to add.
It is immense. And Mike, I'm going to read something from our YouTube chat here. Wow, Lutzie 43, what a great foundation. I've had the pleasure of working with him. If you see this, tell him Tim Taylor says hello and looks forward to working with him. And that's from Tim Taylor from the Truckers' Voices podcast.
How about that, Dave? That is Tim Taylor, a FedEx freight driver, America's Road Team captain. Boy, every chance we get to work with Don Logan, who helps get these drivers from FedEx lined up, we love to have Tim. Tim is actually going to join us on December 12th over in Ashford, Alabama, where we're bringing in 400 9th and 10th graders from 2 different high schools. He'll be one of the tractor trailers. We've got another great trucking partner over in Alabama called Greenbush Logistics, which is the transportation division of Yellowwood, Great Southern Wood Preserve. So that team there is going to bring in that second tractor trailer. And what a great thing to get these kids educated on it. But here's what's really cool. They do such a good job, these drivers, of saying, you need to look at our industry. I sleep in my own bed every night by my choice, or I can travel over the road if I choose. But, we are delivering 78% of the products in this country. We're such a vital element to what we do on a day-to-day basis in the United States. Come look at our industry. Maybe 4-year college, 2-year college isn't where you want to go, but maybe get in our industry and having the freedom to be on the road and continue to build that image of the trucking industry. It's just a great opportunity for them to teach safety, but also kind of recruit young kids to look at this driving industry.
Mike, Tim Taylor sent another message down here, and we have time to do this right now. Ask him about the simulated trauma segment that they do and what kind of impact it has on the students.
Yeah, that's a great point. Tim has been able to see that, but typically, so these going back to the Your Keys to Drive, and we use that platform to build our, what we call simply a safe driving summit. And our summit, the next one we're going to deliver is Friday, November 21st at Calhoun High School up in Northeast Georgia, in Calhoun, Georgia. To give your audience the perspective of that, beginning at 9 o'clock, they'll have all 1,000-plus students, 9th through 12th, in their gym for an all-student 75-minute keynote address. I will deliver our story that we called Phillips Legacy. What legacy are you leaving? We will wrap up that keynote time where Eric Burns, a sergeant first class in the Georgia Department of Commercial Vehicle, CVE, he's going to go up and read a script of an actual crash that occurred with a teenager. And as he's doing that, we've recruited first responders from state police, county sheriffs, city police, school resource officer, EMS, fire, a wrecker service, a life support helicopter service team. And then the last one that goes up there is the coroner or chief medical officer and medical examiner. And at the end of reading the script, we will project what that crash site looked like. And boy, do you get the kids' attention. And I do not believe in scared straight. I believe in letting the experts get in front of these kids, Each one of the first responder organizations will take 3 minutes to explain to these kids, here's what we do individually as an organization and collaboratively with the other first responders at a crash of this nature, with everything designed to get you to that emergency room to save your life. And the last presenter will be that coroner or medical examiner, and this is where it does get real. They say, if I'm called to this, there's been a death. And then that triggers the process. I've got to go with law enforcement and knock on your parent's door. But these kids, then 400 kids will rotate through the 4 30-minute breakouts. One of them is called To the ER and Beyond. And we reenact a teen coming into an emergency room, and we will have anywhere from 6 to 10 trauma center personnel led by a surgeon. You'll have anesthesiologists, you'll have airway experts, multiple nurses, somebody managing the blood, and they're going to take these kids and take them. Here's what's going to happen in this emergency room, which, by the way, your parents aren't with you, your friends aren't with you, you're all on your own. You're somewhere between 14 and 18 in high school. Think about how scary the situation is, and they're going to show medical instruments used and what they're going to use on your body in an attempt to get you out of that emergency room into the surgeries. And then the kids are going to go experience from rehab, what are we going to do to try to get you pre-crash mental and physical status back to where you were. But there's 3 sides of the emergency room step and repeats that show what that emergency room looks like before the student comes in. And then when they wheel the student out, part of this 30-minute breakout, to go to the rehab, they flip the step and repeats around, and it shows what that emergency room looks like now after the 20-minute of flurry and trying to get you through there to get you to the emergencies. It's so impactful for these kids. That's just one of the 4 breakouts that we deliver. So we're very proud of these summits. We're proud that we've delivered 30 to date in the state of Georgia with over 80 high schools attending and 20,000 students. We're delivering our second one in Alabama. And again, our Doug Smith on our team, he's got that challenge right now to get this lit up in the state of Tennessee. And on the 17th, up in Chattanooga, we're hosting an event that will be about 3 hours, and we're going to bring in potential partners out of healthcare, law enforcement, trucking associations, DOT, high school leaders to say, here's what these summits look like, here's what the foundation is doing, and here's how everything from Sharon Phillips' story to the creation of the key as the image to the checklist that support the keys to these summits that really impact the teenage audience. This is what this is all about, in reducing the 40,000 deaths that we're seeing on our roadways every year.
Mike, I have to tell you, and we haven't talked about this on the air, there's a personal stake I have in all of this. My brother, who is still with us, I gave him a hug this Halloween, and he said, what was that for? I said, the fact of he was actually thrown from a car, not buckled in, thrown from a car, and broke his C2 vertebrae. And you know that one more inch, the doctors basically said 1 more inch of pressure, and either you're gone or you're breathing through a straw for the rest of your life. And it took him forever to recover from that. And what I am most excited about in regards to what you guys are developing, from my perspective, from the men and women that Dave and I and Chris speak for often, is the fact that if this model continues to grow and continues to work, it is intentionally creating the safer work environment for them. And I'm wondering, in many ways, can the model be replicated? Can, in fact, as you guys are doing, because so many of the road team captains, like Tim, who's been commenting, become a part of this superstructure? And if, in fact, you have organizations who actually understand your methodology, are they, in fact, then spreading out and creating the same kind of messaging and the same kind of lingoing from their perspective? Because there are so many points of perspective on the roadways, especially at night. There's a great, vast economy of the American night that goes on that a lot of these kids, when they get in cars, don't realize, nighttime driving just ain't about folks going home. It's about a lot of folks, from first responders, patrolling neighborhoods, to truck drivers delivering goods and services, to people just making deliveries from DoorDash and all that stuff. There is a whole economy of the American night that is going to be impacted the further the imprint that Lutzie 43 begins to make. And so I'm really excited, not just for where you guys are, but for the possibilities and potentials for growth here. Brother, you're welcome back anytime. We love having you.
Well, again, Jimmy, the kind words. And again, we're proud of, we're not the only ones doing this. There's so many fantastic organizations out there that are trying to leverage a tragedy in their life of losing somebody we're very proud of what we're doing. But just to close with you guys a little bit, every audience I speak to, if I say to them, you're going to learn so many good things, whether it's from my talk or if we're at a high school doing a summit, but you've got to wear a seatbelt. You just simply have to wear a seatbelt. I'm confident that, guys, you wouldn't even know who I am, most likely because Philip would have survived the crash in that back seat if he had a seatbelt on, if you go by data and statistics. So that's one message. But let me close, I guess, with this. In a matter of a 6-day period, I was just north of you guys out of Nashville presenting at the Tennessee Association of Trauma Surgeons conference. And it dawned on me to sit there and listen to the prior speaker before I got up there to say all these experts in here, they're so well educated, they got such a great cause in what they do, but they live in a reactive world. They're in that emergency room hoping that a teen's not coming in or an older adult's not falling, but they're in a reactive mode. And I was so rewarded afterwards when Dr. Patel from Vanderbilt Medical came to me and said, Mike, you've ignited a fire in me that I've got to find a way to use my medical upbringing, my experiences in the trauma room to go out and be proactive. And so now we've got Vanderbilt Medical Center. We've got Dr. Bell at Erlanger Health in Nashville or in Chattanooga, working with us that they'll play the role of that emergency room to the year and beyond as we move these summits into Tennessee. We've got a relationship with the Tennessee Trucking Association and independent trucking companies up in Tennessee. The law enforcement wants to get in front of these kids. But you think about it, the state troopers to the city, to the sheriffs, county sheriffs, to the city police, they don't really have a business development exec on their team that can go knock on these doors to put them in front of teenagers or in front of corporate America. We provide that vehicle to do that. So everything is just modeling up. And again, I can't go deliver every talk, but here's what I'm excited about. We will find the Mike Lutzenkirchen who has the passion to share the story of their loss of life, and they'll tell their story at these summits. And they'll transition into, here's why they're part of Lutzie 43, and here's a little background on Philip. But here's what's been created out of this story. It's 43 key seconds. It's the checklist of clear head, clear hands, clear eyes, and click it. And now, hey, we're going to take 400 of these students, the 15-year-olds chomping at the bit to get their permit, those that have that permit, those 16-year-old new drivers, and we're going to take them through these real-world scenarios around these tractor trailers. Let them listen to all the level of law enforcement and what they're seeing on the road of teenage drivers, and let them go through that emergency room reenactment and then the healthcare, the rehab reenactment. But here's what's really cool to me. I sit and say, you're going to get this lanyard with the key and the checklist card attached to it. And we adults, we need to be coached up at times. Take these home and have the conversation with your mom and dad, especially those of you kids that raised your hand when you said, yep, mom or dad is always distracted when they're driving. Go have that conversation what this is all about. Do it in a respectful manner. But this is saving lives. And again, we'll never know the count or the full impact, but because organizations are wanting to invest in what we're doing, it's proving that the impact is working.
By the way, it's better to not know the count than to actually have a real long, unending, heartbreaking list. And Mike has joined us this morning. We love having you on, my friend. We got to take a break here, but you're welcome back anytime. Please tell that great American Doug Smith we said hello and have the best of days, okay?
We'll do it. And to my friend Tim Taylor, listen in there. Thank you very much, brother. Love you and look forward to seeing you on the 12th of December. And to your audience, be safe and wear your seatbelts.
Man, always good to have Lutzie 43 on, isn't it, Dave?
It is indeed. Mike Lutzenkirchen, he is unbelievable. Lutzia, Lutzie 43, Lutzie43.org.